I am. Basically, in my dream world, I'm a communist.
Well, asking people of the DNC what they think is very enlightening, but even more so, it's terrifying. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. Now, there is something very enlightening about learning what people think. I love to understand what people think, and understanding why they think what they think sometimes reveals they don't know why they think what they think. And we know brainwashing is a hell of a drug right now. Cut to the 24/7 news cycle. I watch the news. I'm very well informed. That kind of thing. So there's not many other breeding grounds on the DNC to get some radical perspectives that aren't necessarily based on critical thinking of the individual. So that's in today's video. There's a few clips I want to show you that I think are incredibly interesting. You saw the one, my dream is communism. It'll probably work next time, buddy. But anyway, Nick Shirley, he's a YouTuber. He went to the DNC. He's outside the convention center, and he was just asking people questions. He's not being a troll. He's not being leading. He's not being combative. He is just simply asking people questions and follow-up questions to reveal what is it that you think and why do you think that? Very interesting. And you can check out Nick Shirley on YouTube. His channel is called Shocker Nick Shirley. His mission, here to entertain and bring the truth to all. I kind of like that. Let's check it out. Starting with asking people around the DNC, do you think Kamala is qualified?
What do you think makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States?
She's terrible. If she comes into office, it will be done.
Because when we win, there will be a civil war. I'm all for immigration. I'll trade every Republican voter for all the immigrants in. I'll trade them right now.
Yikes. Yikes. I already like the diversity of perspectives. You're hearing people say, she'd be terrible. And you're hearing the communist guy saying, yeah, like, she's awesome. And like, let's trade Republicans for immigrants, because that somehow makes sense.
I think she'll be able to make the country a lot safer and keep down immigration and all of that.
Keep down immigration for Kamala. This guy, he is an optimist.
I'm afraid he's going to do something to where he's just going to become a dictator and stay in office.
I love it. I love hearing people who watch the news just believe Trump's going to be dictator. He's just going to stay in office. Did you realize he used to be in office and he left office, even though there was, well, a fair bit of evidence that the election wasn't legit and he still left office? Reality has nothing to do with what I'm told will happen, okay?
I'm here in Chicago. I'm at the DNC, and today we're asking people here at the DNC, what makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States? It is extremely interesting that now Kamala Harris is suddenly the best person to become president, as she was once the most unpopular vice president of all time.
No, how did he still have access to this screenshot? This is supposed to be erased from the internet. NBC News poll, NBC. Kamala Harris hits record low for VP net favorability. That's great. But no, that never happened. She is just beloved. Always has been, always will be.
And there's been a lot of problems underneath the Biden-Harris administration, such as inflation, the border crisis, the cost of living has gone up, and crime rates across the nation have soared through the roof. And now off camera, it appears I was in a restricted zone because I have now been kicked out of the DNC and I'm standing outside of the walls. And what do you think makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States?
That she's not Trump and that she has...
What makes Kamala qualified? She's not Trump. I hate Trump. What do you love about Kamala? Well, the thing I hate most about Trump, this guy. I love the pink swimming hat, whatever that is. I like the American shorts. I really do. I'm surprised he's wearing them.
She's a woman. It's the time for the woman.
Well, that's very scientific of him. I also wonder what the hell the stethoscope and probably dirty rubber glove is. Like, was he the one in the van doing the abortions?
She's ready to be a leader.
And what do you think makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States?
She's a prosecutor and she
I thought he was going to say prostitute. Also would have been true.
knows how to prosecute the case against Donald Trump better than anybody.
Yeah, but we got to worry about Trump persecuting his political opponents.
And what cases against Donald Trump?
Basically everything he's ever done.
Everything that specific.
Trying to steal the election, to assaulting
Did he try to steal the election?
women, to just being a crook.
Yes, just being a crook. Ring up the charges on just being a crook.
Donald Trump's claims of him going after Kamala, saying, well, she really hasn't accomplished much. She didn't even pass her bar exam, and the border's been open since she's been president. What do you think about those claims from people from like Donald Trump?
I think they are nothing more than stormy winds the big clouds and the blazing flames of obfuscation.
If Kamala gets elected, what do you think we can see from her in her first year of office?
She's going to do a lot of listening, and she's going to do what the people want.
You want him to listen, but like, what's the main thing? Do a lot of listening. Well, how about you fix something?
What do the people want? What do you want?
I want freedom. I want an equal shot at the American dream. I want to control the border.
So listen to what he said. I want an equal shot at the American dream. His candidate, Kamala, doesn't want you to have an equal shot at the American dream. That would be an equal opportunity. She wants you to have an equal outcome, which means you get no shot at the American dream. You get the outcome of a communist dream. Equal outcome. So even he is not aligned with Kamala. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, as a free thinker, I'm always interested in learning what people think. But something I found is people's algorithms and news sources tends to heavily influence what they think. That's why I think bringing complete transparency to the news that we get, where it comes from, what their bias is essential if you want to be a free thinker. And that's why I love Ground News. And you can check out ground.news/JP. For example, with RFK Jr. recently endorsing President Trump, that is dominating the news cycles. But you can see the left outlets have a very different perspective than outlets on the right or the center. Check out this headline that's going around. RFK Jr. decapitated a dead whale and brought it home, daughter said. So if you look at the coverage distribution, it is predominantly the left that is pushing this decapitated whale story about RFK Jr. And we can use our minds to reason to believe maybe the left media outlets are doing that to get people to think less favorably about the Trump-Kennedy association. And every day, Ground News collects thousands of different articles around the web on news stories that you're interested in, but they bring them to you with transparency. For example, on the RFK Jr. decapitated whale story, you can see the coverage details. Of the 18 total news sources on this dead whale story, you can see 11 of them are on the left, just 1 on the right and 3 in the center. And that gives a total bias distribution of 73% left. And that's good to know, because if that's where your news is coming from, that's what you're being influenced to believe. Another feature of Ground News that empowers us to see what some media might be trying to hide from us is the blind spots feature, which means Ground News finds the stories that the left just aren't covering. For example, RFK Jr. announces he will actively campaign with Donald Trump. That's huge news, empowering for the right, and you can see that has 0% coverage on the left. In other words, it tells you what the left doesn't want you to know about. And it'll also give you blind spots on the right media outlets. There just are less right media outlets and less blind spots on the right, but it provides the full picture. I love Ground News, and I think you will too, because our news is only as good as the source it comes from and their bias. And if we don't have full transparency of that, we don't know if it's good news or bad news. To bring full transparency to where you get your news from and wake up to what's really going on instead of being fooled while you're trying to inform yourself, go to ground.news/JP or hit the QR code here and take advantage of my link so you can save 40% off unlimited access, which is the subscription on Ground News that I use myself because I want to be informed, not fooled. Check it out. Now back to the video.
I want a good economy.
What do you guys think about Kamala?
It'll be cool.
She's terrible. If she comes into office, it will be done.
It'll be cool to see a female black. You know, she's half black, not fully black, but
Thank you.
It'll be cool to see a black president,
Western Indian.
female black president. But I'm definitely voting for Trump.
Let me tell you something. She tries to get the black vote. Because if you look at her past things, and maybe 10, 15 years ago, when she's in interviews, she identifies as West Indian.
She does.
The only way that she's identified as African American is right now.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny, Kamala? You do that. And who you're doing it to can see it. You'd love to be in the mind of Kamala. You know, she's doing a little event in Atlanta and she's like, no mo 2024, like her, what's that called? Coding. Mind of Kamala, she's like, I'm fooling all these people. And the people are like, you fooled none of us.
Doing right now. Because she wants the voters. But she doesn't give a fuck. Because where was she at in these past 4 years and she's vice president? What has she done for us?
She have not.
Can
done
you
shit.
say one thing that
I
she's
didn't even
done?
know she was the vice president.
Can we
That's
say
the
what
truth.
she has done?
Let's go, Trump.
And I am going to stand on Trump, and I'm so sorry if that may ruffle people's feathers.
It doesn't ruffle my feathers, it soothes them.
But I have done my own research, and Trump has done a lot for us, more than what the media tries to portray.
Doing her own research, cut to the New York Times article on the dangers of critical thinking. You are ordered not to do your own research. Instead, just listen to us and what we tell you you think. But these people are unfortunately free thinkers.
We're getting all our favorite rappers. They're having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and all of that to gain, because they think that that's going to make us vote for them. And that's not.
And that never got my vote.
And that will never get my vote. And I'm going to stand on that. Twerking
did not get my vote.
Meg Thee Stallion. First off, the song that she was even saying is very...
I like the passion here.
And let me just say one thing. Chicago's trying to clean up all the streets so they can have Kamala come into town. Like, we don't have a lot of killing out here. Like, all of these streets right now on Michigan Avenue are not safe. Let's talk about that. But you guys want to clean that up. You want to board buildings up. You want to board businesses up when Kamala comes into town to make it act like Chicago is safe, and it's not.
And do you think there's anything that makes Kamala qualified to become the next president?
I don't think anything, because things that made her qualified when she was a prosecutor that had evidence to get people off of death row, she didn't give a fuck about it.
What would you say makes Kamala qualified to become president in this election?
Her whole career.
And what excites you most about her career and what she's done?
She has a lot of accomplishments in terms of her time as a prosecutor, in terms of her period as vice president and being there with the president for the decisions.
And do you think if Joe Biden was still running for president, do you think there would be this much excitement
No, there would not be this much excitement.
For all I know, he might be interviewing Joe Biden right now. Pretty similar look.
Since that Joe Biden got sick and then Kamala Harris became the next president?
I mean, no.
Do you think that was planned?
No. Who
No.
thinks that?
I don't know. That's just what people are saying.
I mean, there was no plan to put her in this year if he wasn't going to run. That just all happened to be.
It just organically happened. I'd accidentally been predicting they'd pull Biden out for 4 years. But it just happened. Everybody that predicted it and said what would happen, they were wrong, because it just happened. It wasn't like happening the way they said it happened. The same thing happened, but it just happened. It wasn't planned.
There's no question the debate was a big factor in it.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
My favorite debate of all time.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump
Was right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
This is my number one thing, okay? Anybody who is not a criminal who wants to come into this country should be vetted. You know, you vet them, and then they get to come in. I'm all for immigration. I'll trade every Republican voter for all the immigrants in. I'll trade them right now.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
a lot of people would, because they'd vote for the Democrats, right?
No, because that's what they should do. We don't want the Republicans. Republicans are evil.
I like that unity.
Forget about this guy, because we'll be coming back to him in just a few moments as he has more outrageous things to say. And what makes you excited about having Kamala Harris as the potential next president of the United States?
I'm a woman.
Yeah.
That makes me very excited.
Yeah, love her policies. She's a woman. She also doesn't know what a woman is. Therefore, if we buy into her policy of the ambiguity of what is a woman, then how can you know she's a woman? How can you know you're a woman? And if you know you're a woman, know she's a woman, then you're against Kamala's policy on we don't know what a woman is.
Kamala Harris is running for president. Some people have
Kamala, not Kamala.
Kamala. Some people have
Kamala.
questioned what makes Kamala qualified to become president, and what makes her qualified to become the next president.
Okay, number one is she's not Trump.
It's always number one. And number one is always really the only thing.
Number two is that she's been voted in many different positions. She served as a
She definitely wasn't voted to be the Democratic nominee, just so we're clear.
attorney general. She served as a prosecutor. She served as vice president.
Do you think it was planned for Joe Biden to get sick and then get replaced with Kamala?
I think, no, I don't think. Kamala, not Kamala. Don't necessarily think that they planned it, but I think they realized that he's got to be the president in this. It's tough. It's tough. So when the Republicans try to steal the election, which they will, because guaranteed will win the popular vote by at least 30 million.
For sure. And also he's an election denier, so let's just note that.
They'll try to steal it with the Electoral College. We have to have the presidential right to call executive order. We must retain the military, because when we win, there will be a civil war, and we need the military on our side.
Because you don't have guns, because you're anti-guns. That's why you need the military on your side. And interesting, if you talk to most people in the military, at least most people I've talked to in the military, they ain't Democrats.
And what changes do you think we could expect to see with a presidency of Kamala Harris?
Well, she's not Trump. That's what change we'll see. Well, he's also not in office. Well, the change we'll see is the same as what we see now.
Kamala, more progress. Okay, I want to see increased taxes on the rich, 90% taxing of a certain point for billionaires, okay, and corporations. 90%.
Yeah, just 90% tax rate. That makes sense. That'll fuel a lot of innovation.
Tax.
90% tax
Yes.
on people like Elon Musk.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And what would that
Exactly.
solve?
I said that would look at all the money we'd have to spend on stuff.
Ukraine.
Say about the people that say billions of dollars are getting sent over to Israel and Ukraine.
Well, you have to do that. You have to support your allies. Republicans are good at dividing people, saying, "Oh, they're sending money here." No, we have the money. It's just it's by the corporations.
We don't have the money. When we understand the principal driver of inflation is government spending, we see inflation skyrocketing because the government is not filled with business people. They're filled with mostly corrupt politicians. Therefore, they spend our money unwisely and spend money that we don't have. Thus, we print money. Thus, inflation goes up.
I'm ready for the Civil War.
I don't think he's ready for the Civil War. Does he look battle ready to you?
Must have control of the military. We'll crush them, and we move this country forward.
What will a Civil War look like?
It's going to be more like a guerrilla war, so it's going to be tough.
Like
this is what I picture.
The Republicans probably have the majority of the guns here in America.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You can only shoot one gun. If we have, you don't need a gun. The military will win. Whichever side the military is on will win. So I've never even touched a gun. But I'll go out there and fight.
Do you think the military would back somebody who left Afghanistan and left billions of dollars of equipment?
Yes, I am. Basically, in my dream world, I'm a communist.
A communist?
Yes.
That's how this guy's mind functions. He says, in a dream world, I'm a communist. It won't work, but my dream world is I'm a communist. So his dream world is, I want something to not work. That's my dream. And you listen to what he says, most of what he's saying, like, well, that won't work. It's like, yeah, that's his dream. Might be someone who's not the most mentally coherent person ever.
Sure. And what makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States?
Well, if you look at her path, she was, Attorney General, then she was a senator, vice president, much more, I think qualified than most people that are coming through the system.
Do you know President Trump used to be the president? That, based on his logic, that might make him more qualified to be president of the United States.
Say she's more qualified than Trump to become president?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
He only used to be president. She was never president, so she's more qualified to do the thing he's already done and done it well. So,
do you think Kamala is qualified to become the next president?
I mean, we've just seen 4 years of her in office. So, no, I'd like to see 4 more years of Trump. Open borders, crime sky high, inflation, wars all over the world. It's like everything's burning. And I think it's to do with Kamala and Biden. I mean, we've got 4 years with Trump in office, 4 years since. And, I mean, crime's up since he's out of office. Illegal crossings are up. Inflation's up. Now, all that necessarily isn't the fault of the administration, but...
Now Kamala is running for president, obviously, and she's still vice president.
0 votes in the primary.
And how is
crazy how that works.
How do you think that's possible that she was suddenly just became the next best person to become president when she was the most unpopular vice president?
Well, because if they took it to an open convention, there's 0 chance she would have won. The only way to keep all the money they had raised this far was to install Kamala. So you saw it happen over a weekend. I mean, prior, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN are all talking about how Kamala has got the worst approval ratings of any VP in history. They're talking about how Biden can get her off the ticket. And then all of a sudden, she's the savior of the country. Like, give me a fucking break, dude.
This man's thoughts should be policed by the thought police. I think if he was in the UK, he might be thrown in jail for saying rather unsavory. I mean, that's basically all hate speech. I mean, it's facts, but it's misinformation, hate speech, and also a very well-informed human.
Been the nominee for 28 days, hasn't done a single press conference, hasn't talked about policy. The 2 things that she's announced is no tax on tips, which Trump already said, and then J.D. Vance talked about a $5,000 child credit. Now Kamala's proposing a $6,000 one.
J.D. Vance should come back in $6,001.
She'll take control of the border finally once she becomes president? Or do you think it's just going to get worse?
No, it's only going to get worse. It's just lip service. She's been the border czar. She didn't do shit for it. She wants to let as many illegals in to give them pathway to citizenship so they can vote. They're all going to vote Democrat. They're giving them free phones, free health care, free education, free money. Why would they not vote for Democrat?
None of that's free, by the way. It's free to them, but very expensive on we, the people who pay taxes.
Is Kamala qualified to become the next president?
Well, she's been a lawyer, okay, so she's no dummy. And then she's been vice president. And it's very hard to top the education that you get as vice president.
What about the education you get as president that President Trump has?
So what do you think Kamala will do as president to stop inflation?
She said she would look into the price gouging.
And do you think price gouging is right?
We all know it's going on.
Do you think it was right of the Democrats to replace Joe Biden with Kamala Harris for the ticket of who could be the next president?
It's a matter of the vote. I mean, what do you mean?
She didn't receive any vote.
We replace our politicians all the time. And that's within their laws, is for all their delegates to just say, well, screw whatever people did in the primary and let's give all our votes for somebody else.
Power to the people? No, like, it's good when they can just say, screw that. Screw people having the power. Like, we're just going to do it this once, you know?
They're perfectly not only capable, but it's perfectly all right for them to do that, because that's the party's rules.
You gotta love how this guy thinks. He's got something strapped to his back, and the strap of it is literally just around his neck. That's how bright this guy is.
Is it unfair to some people? Yeah, dude. Is it unfair to animals that they don't get to vote? Yes, it is unfair.
Not really. It's not unfair to animals that they can't vote. I'm guessing they literally can't.
Unfair to animals, they don't get a vote. It's unfair to plants. They don't get a vote either.
Now he's got a good point there. I'm on board. We should give plants the right to vote. Take them a ballot, let them fill it out, choose their candidate, and then we respect the plant's right to vote. Because look how archaic this is. It used to be women didn't have the right to vote. I thought we got past that, but no, we look at the reality. Plants don't have the right to vote. We need to change that. Under Kamala, we're going to give plants the right to vote. And all illegals too. But plants the right to vote. This is why I'm voting for Kamala. Equal rights to plants. By the way, he's standing on grass right now. He's literally crushing the plants that he wants to give voting rights to.
Do you think Kamala is somebody that we can trust with the open borders and with inflation going up? Do you think she's somebody we can trust to maybe close down the border a little bit, make things a little bit safer here in the United States?
I agree, yeah. I think she'd be great at that.
It's already been her job for a while.
Okay, well, she's in charge of the borders right now.
Yeah, so I think she'll be able to make the country a lot safer and pretty much keep down the immigration and all of that good stuff.
Well, that is the enlightenment of the rather lack of enlightenment of various people surrounding the DNC. You got to hear a little bit from Trump supporting people there. You got to hear a lot from Kamala supporting people. I think this is an interesting little social experiment, if you will, and just hearing what people think and why they think that and weighing it against my perspective of reality, seeing how brainwashed some people can be. With that said, let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you on our next one, but until then, do not watch the news.